can make it if you try. You can make it if you try.
So, as you recall, Chunilam is going through the five syllogisms he mentioned regarding the lack of self-nature to things in the consequence branch of the middle way school. And we have completed.
The sliver of diamond?
No.
Just kidding.
Well, we completed it last class, so guess what this quiz is about.
So we did complete it.
The ones that don't exist?
So, what are the first three
It's about to do
of
it
the
a
stream
second.
of reasons that Chuni Lama lists for refuting the first possibility of the diamond sliver? And I gave you a soft pitch there. A thing doesn't grow from itself.
Oh, nice.
Because
Just things didn't have a cause to happen, then things would just be triggered every second.
no,
Keep
we're
recurring.
talking about things doesn't come from itself because if it did,
Hey, she was on the right track. I
That's
think.
what I said.
It would keep going again.
It
It would happen over and over.
no,
Oh.
no.
Come
It
out
would
of
already
We're talking
exist.
about what.
Yeah,
You got
it's
it,
the
no.
sun coming in.
It doesn't come into being if it already existed at the time. That's the concept.
Yay.
And that's true because if
It
already
already
existed.
existed at the time of its cause.
Yeah, you have to grow.
yes, if it existed at that time, then it's unnecessary for it to come into being again.
Oh.
And that's
Ah,
true
so-
because if it were necessary, then it would have to come into being over and over again.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
So, what is the meaning of Pulsam, and what is the context of the use of this phrase by Chun?
It means all the implications.
Very nice. And what's the context?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to just keep quiet for that part.
It has to do with the two absurdities of the.
Yeah, he's just finished the first two possibilities that the diamond sliver refutes, and he says these reasons are important. So in wrapping up the discussion of the fourth possibility of the diamond sliver, which is from nothing at all, what does Chuni Lama say would be the consequence were something to come into being without cause?
Okay,
You could get
this,
fish from rocks.
Things
You could just keep producing
His
itself.
final one.
things
Yeah.
would
Just
constantly.
instantly, or infinitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Things would either start endlessly or they would never start at all.
Yeah. Don't agree, but he does say that.
He does say that. What's his
Deny.
Kung mamayin din.
Unique karma.
It's the Nick show.
Be
Yeah.
quiet, I'll be quiet.
It's a good show. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Close.
Yeah, Nearland, as in.
Wouldn't that be Nearland Gigu? Or did
I
they
think
just say?
this is.
They just said
He just said
Nearland.
Nearland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
happen. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Wait. What does it mean? No. The picture. You always have some nice metaphor
well,
that you've
it's
chosen for the.
It's spinning endlessly.
Okay, it's like
Forever and ever.
it's kind of like a fire wheel.
The stars are spinning.
It's the glory of the mixed nuts.
Oh, the glory of the
Sounds
Lord.
amazing shooting star yesterday morning. That's cool, yeah.
Please take.
All right. Oh man.
Looks like one of them passed in front of the rocks. It's concerning. Oh, that's probably why.
Oh, it's an escaping photon.
Get back here, photon.
Okay. We're on the third of 5 proofs of emptiness
Okay.
in the Prasangika, higher middle way. We just reached the third one. It concerns whether or not things can grow from a cause which did or didn't exist at, sorry, did a result that did exist at the time of the cause grow? Did a result that didn't exist at the time of the cause grow? Did both or did neither? And it sounds a little bit like the last one we had, only because we were discussing the possibility of things coming from themselves. So it's not quite the same question, you know, okay? But the first one kind of overlaps. The first possibility kind of overlaps, okay? So don't think it's just a repetition of the last proof of emptiness. It's a different proof of emptiness. And by the way, these are somewhere in here. They're probably called Rikpa Nga. So we're used to translating that expression as the 5 proofs, but
But in other places we might find that
yeah,
there are
in
arguments.
words text, they weren't proofs anymore. They were arguments. Okay, big difference, right? Your spouse can argue, but they can't prove, right?
Correct.
That's been my
Okay.
experience as
All
well.
right. All right, here we go.
Another reason not to get married.
Yeah. Then you can argue with yourself.
But it's so
Okay.
gratifying being right all the time.
Tambongi. Okay, so here we go. So did the thing exist at the time of its cause? Did a thing grow which didn't exist at the time of the cause? Or did a thing grow which did exist at the time of the cause? Or did a thing grow which both existed and didn't exist at the time of the cause? Or did a thing grow which neither existed nor didn't exist at the time of its cause? Okay, got it?
Got it.
Here we go. Damboni,
Dungeoning, not hard.
end of sentence.
Okay.
No she, right?
Okay, right.
And by the way, the she gets put on the next line. Over here. Okay.
When we read them?
Yep. I mean, no, translate.
Oh,
The garlic.
we're good.
Uh-huh.
It's the first is refuted just as we did before.
Yeah, that's that old Sankhya idea that the result could exist in its cause, in the seed. And we already talked about that. He's like, I'm not going to talk about that again. Okay, second choice.
Nibala. Te jurtin. Ten mekpar kewatel.
Ten.
Ten mekpar kewatel. Rangi gyu du su mekpar rang munne kewatel.
Yeah.
It's probably the sprout like we were talking about before.
And this is a little uncomfortable for me.
The first one was what again, and then that one was the second one.
A result came from a cause which did exist at the time of the seed.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. No, sorry. A result which did exist at the time of the seed
Okay.
came out of the seed.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is one where the result didn't exist in its seed and then it came out. Okay.
Okay. Then may.
Which we say is impossible. Is it impossible?
I mean, this is a problem. Is it impossible?
I mean, when we did the last one,
Kind of.
proof number 2, it was do things grow from themselves or do they grow from something else? And we would normally say they grow from something else, but that's not a valid answer in these proofs because the assumption is you're saying from its own side. Okay, the assumption is we're talking from its own side.
Mhm.
Okay, in general, do things grow from something other than themselves?
Hmm.
Are you your mom? Were you your mom? No, you're different from your mom. That's all.
Yeah.
Things grow from something different.
Yeah.
You grew from something different. Okay, but in these 5 arguments, you always have to say from their own side,
Mhm.
from their own side.
Oh, and he does.
So can something? Yeah, he repeats it here.
Yeah. No.
He has to add rangune in the second possibility. We have to add the phrase rangune in the second possibility. Because it is generally true, if you don't say from its own side, that things grow from seeds that didn't exist at the time of the seed. Okay, that's our position. Got it? You okay? So when we get to that possibility, we have to add from its own side.
I don't know, I'm still not comfortable.
Which is the thing we accused Baba Viveka saying.
Yeah.
You know, when Baba Viveka did the same thing, he was the bad guy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're doing it ourselves. What? By the way, uh, so how would Choni Lama answer that? I'll say it again. I noticed that every time you get to the one of the four possibilities, which is normally possible, you feel like you have to add the expression from its own side. For example, in the second proof, do things come from something other than themselves? Yeah, you come from your mom. You're different from your mom. But not from your own side, not self-existently, not without seeds. Let's say that way, okay? So do you feel, Choni Lama, that you have to add that phrase from its own side to these four possibilities? He says yes. And when you get to the third proof of discussing whether something grew that existed before it grew or something grew that didn't exist before it grew, when you get to the second possibility, you feel like you have to say from its own side, right? And he says yes. And then should come the question, well, why back in the day when we spent like a whole year trying to figure out this stupid thing, Baba Viveka was wrong when he added it. When he said you have to add it, because he was talking about the same proof. No, it's the same proof. He was talking about the same proof. He said you better add self-existently because it is true that things can come from something other than themselves. Now you add it. So then I guess you're a wrong Gyupa because they feel that words have their own power to give the other person understanding. Okay? The accusation against Baba Viveka was, you don't have to add those words. Because if they don't get it before you add those words, they might not get it after you add those words. Right. Words don't have their own power. Got it? Mm-hmm. That's why that school is called the independent power. The words from its own side has an independent power. Someone who didn't get it before you said that, now they get it. Because the words themselves have power. And that's wrong. Okay? Mm-hmm. So anyway, go figure. Here we go. I don't have an answer.
Boy, we're getting to a much better punchline than
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, I agree. It's
But you know, don't forget, Choni Lama, we're in the Prasangika section. All right. I mean, I would.
well, also that was Gyaltsab Jay, so you know, he's
Yeah,
making
okay.
some obscure.
But it was
They didn't get this-
Chamakirti too.
Wasn't it in your text though? When we went off on this long exam. Oh, I'm sorry, it was your text.
Yeah, it was my text.
Oh well, that's a
Like,
different
we
thing.
have a 30-page appendix using
Yeah, we have a
all
30-page
authors
appendix
and
about it.
others discussing such a thing.
Oh, because you had the insight into what it meant, and I was bow to your feet. Okay. Okay. Kapte. Here we go. Now this is tricky. It is so the case because if something existed from its own side, which I think, you know, there are many synonyms for self-existent in Tibetan, in Buddhism. I think this is the easiest one for foreigners. Oh, does the husband come from his own side? You know, or instead of saying does he have a nature of his own, or is he imputed, or you know, it's just easy. You know, foreigners tend to understand it easier if you say, does the husband exist from his own side, and you use your hand, right? Ranguni Dubna. Duji could say mena, if at any particular time it wasn't there, it couldn't be there in any sense. If a thing exists from its own side, then if at any particular moment it is absent, it must be absent completely. It cannot be there in any sense. I'll say it again. If things existed from their own side, then if something were in general absent in a situation, you couldn't in any way say it was present.
He's going to need to do a little more to establish that.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable so far. It should be uncomfortable. I'll say it again. If things exist from their own side, then if at any particular moment in time it's not there, it cannot be said to be there in any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Which means we believe it can be said to be there in some
In
sense.
some sense, right,
Okay, got it?
Yeah.
All
Sort of
right.
like
So
what he's saying.
in our school, what this sentence is implying is at the time of the cause, the result was absent. But in a sense, something of it was there. That's all. Okay, got it?
yeah.
In a sense,
Something
the
that was-
preliminary of it was there. Okay? But it wasn't there. And only if you believe that things come from their own side would you have to say it couldn't be there if it wasn't there. In any sense.
Yes.
In any sense. Okay. What's the sense we think it could be there? We're getting there. Don't worry. I figured it out like 30 seconds ago. Okay, here we go. Der Tao. Yeah, and that's the case. What? That if at any particular moment in time a thing were absent, it couldn't be said to be there in any sense. Okay. That is the case because if something existed from its own side, it would be incorrect to say that it could ever change into, it could ever modify, change, and still be, in a sense, the same thing. You know, like this jar is changing, but it's still a jar.
Yeah.
But the liquid is going up and down, mostly down.
But he says change into something else, right?
Yeah, shentugyur, change. Well,
Doesn't he?
it could be another state of the same object.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Right, so
that's
you're
all.
saying
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
that's what he's saying.
yeah.
Cool.
Objects in the moment before being the cause of the moment, the object in the moment after.
We're okay. So it's coming. By the way, the next sentence clarifies it because we're running out of time here. Meaning, I don't mean the time of the class. I mean we're running out of argument number 3.
Right. Running out of-
If he doesn't clear it up in the next sentence, we're in trouble.
running out of runway to land on.
Could we just switch up a little bit? So that Shentu.
Yeah. If things exist from their own side, it would be incorrect to say they could ever change into some other version of themselves, is the way I would read it, or something other. Yeah.
Or,
Wrong.
yeah.
Oh.
Or into something else. Okay.
Wrong look na new terong the green do su mekyang. Jun ten do su yipe su ki kewe mekyang.
Open vowel. Yeah, Mingelo. This is a very sophisticated statement, and it's interesting. I can't remember seeing it before, but let's go for it. He gives us Rangluk, which is supposed to be a moment of comfort. When he says, he decides for us what's correct, which is what we want. As an American in a university, we want the teacher to tell us what's correct. We don't want to have to think about it.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, good. Ranglukla. Nyuku de rangi gyu dusu me.
At the time of the cause.
At the
of
time of the
sprout,
seed.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
But
we-
right,
yeah.
Yeah.
Take a shot. Take a shot, but say the first part again. And use seeds and sprouts.
At the time of the seed.
The unopened
it's-
seed.
Right. It's true that the sprout doesn't exist,
But
but the continuum or the continuation or the stream does exist at that time in a way.
The other way around, right?
it's true that the sprout doesn't exist at the moment that the seed does. And I'm talking a seed which hasn't split. Which hasn't split
Would
open.
it be wrong to say that
But-
something doesn't come
Yeah,
arise
just-
from that
right.
continuum of a thing?
Well, it's more sophisticated than that. But it's no problem. Mingel, there's no contradiction to say that it has, we can still say a sprout has grown.
Uh-huh.
The sprout has grown. Can
Okay? Now, wait.
you-
Let me get that much.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we say of a sprout that doesn't exist at the time of the seed that a sprout has grown? Do we say in normal
Can we say of a sprout?
usage of the world?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We say a tree, we do say a tree grew from the seed, even though at that time there could not have been a tree.
At the time of the seed.
Common usage.
We still say a tree grew from the seed,
We talk this way.
which seems to imply that a tree was there at the time of the seed and it grew. Because in the English syntax especially, tree comes first. A tree grew from the seed. Okay, got it? And it's a problem. It's a serious problem. There was no tree at the time of the seed. How can you say a tree grew from the seed? Okay? And then he says,
We need to be careful here of syntax because that at the time of the seed thing could be like, oh, I'm looking at a seed and I'm saying there's a tree that's growing.
That's
yeah,
that's what he's
exactly.
saying.
That's the
That's
problem.
what he's saying.
That's one of the problems. There's
Yeah.
lots of problems. But can we say that the necessary moment that precedes the growth of a thing was there as kind of part of that thing?
Yeah.
The moment before it grew was part of the flow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He wants to say flow.
Before it grew with
Flow. When you talk about flow of a tree, there's you go backwards from the tree that fell down, right? The tree fell down because it was old. Go backwards. Oh, there's a tree that's healthy. Go backwards. Oh, there's a tree that's growing. Go backwards. There's a tree that comes out of the crack in the seed. Go backwards. There's a potential for a seed. There's a potential for a tree sitting in the seed. And that's the beginning of the tree. But it's not the tree.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Because he says, Chonin Lama says, I'm uncomfortable saying that nothing grew out of the seed.
Right.
Is
This
this
is
the
wrong.
chrysalis argument, Geshe-la?
What's that?
Is this the chrysalis?
It's kind of a chrysalis argument. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay?
So-
So let's put the syntax, it's difficult here. But it's true that at the time of its own cause, the sprout did not exist. But it's no contradiction to say the sprout grew. And I would add the sprout here, very importantly, before Keiwei Mingyo. It's no contradiction to say that the sprout grew. How? In a manner where its flow was present. Okay? The first part of its flow was present. Like we can say it that way. And the first part of its flow, it's absent.
Is he using this to justify his nune?
Present.
Well, I get this sense like he's very uncomfortable to say, you can't say a tree grew from the seed. He said, come on. We always say that way. But technically, there was no tree at the time of the seed. So how can you say it grew? There was no it to grow. Okay? And he says, that's true. But in the usage of the world, when we say it grew, what we're really talking about is the thing that will be growing.
But isn't he arguing?
And we consider the first moment of that flow, its absence is its beginning.
Isn't he sort of arguing against his own argument?
Who's he?
Jinilama.
I
It
don't
seems
know.
to be arguing against the permutation that it can't have come from something else.
I think what he's saying is he's saying the same thing as he said last time, that the second choice, if you don't say from its own side,
Yeah. Okay.
is correct.
So he is
Things do
justifying.
grow from something else. You do grow from your mom. But if you're going to make it a false statement, you have to say from its own side.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Do things grow from their seeds? Did the tree grow from a seed? Yeah. But in that moment, it's not there.
So he's answering your question.
It's
about,
the moment of the absence of a tree that we always connect to the growth of the tree, which is the last moment before it grew. The tree of the last moment before there was a tree grew from the seed. That's what we mean when we say a tree grew. Got it? We're talking about the flow. And we're talking about the specific moment of its non-existence that's attached to its beginning. Okay.
Specific last moment of its non-existence.
Yeah. And that's part and parcel of the tree.
That's flow.
You can't,
That's what he's defining as its flow.
yeah. Otherwise, you can never say the tree grew from the seed. Because there's no tree at the time of the seed.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah. It's just weird how much it contradicts what we just learned about the middle way. in my
Well,
book.
Well, I think he's talking about, you have the seeds to connect that last moment of non-existence to the first moment of existence, which doesn't happen until after the seed is already gone, actually.
Right.
Okay, so I said we tend to tie things together. It's Shanti Deva's
Yeah, that's what she was
rosary.
They are the cocoon.
Yeah, cocoon. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to sit there, but it's the first time I've ever seen it explained that in such a sophisticated way. And it's going to be, sulki is important here.
In the manner.
There's no contradiction to say the tree has grown, but only in a manner at which we are talking about its place in the flow. The flow, the overall flow, because the first moment of that flow is before it existed. Is the moment before it existed has to be glued on to its flow.
Be a part of.
Yeah. Okay.
Third
Yeah,
order.
sulki means, you have to twist it this way. Okay. That's the only way in which you can say, without contradiction, that the tree has grown. Subashibala.
Third and fourth are easy.
Yeah, we don't have to go through those. It can't grow. It can't grow from both, and it can't grow from neither. If it can't grow from either, okay, so something like that. Okay, we're on to the fourth proof of emptiness.
Shipa mushi kie.
Not Shipa. That would be Sugeng's dead person. Shipa.
Oh, you can go last one. You can go next.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Shipa. Mushi. Yeah, heavy prenasal here. Mushi Kengo. Say Mushi Kengo. Sounds like a new kind of mushroom or something. Mushi Kengo. Mushi Kengo.
I don't care for them.
Don't eat Mushi Kengos. Weird things will happen. It's very famous. People say, Mushi Kengo. You ain't talking Mushi Kengo. Okay. There we go.
Dribu nam nam nun ne kie ke. Yuchi kona len re buchi kona yang ke. Gyutuma kona len re butuma kona yang ke. Gyutume ndre buchi kona yang ke. Gyuchiki ndre butuma kona yang ke.
Okay. Tebu nam rangone mikete. Results don't grow.
From their own side.
Good. Results don't grow from their own side because if now the kona you have to say something like if you limit yourself to, okay? The kona is kind of like in English, if you limit yourself to talking about a single result, it cannot be the case that it can come from only a single cause. A single result cannot come from a single cause. To put it less precisely, okay, a single result cannot come from a single cause. But technically what it says is, but a single result cannot come from but a single cause, okay? Meaning always, okay? Meaning always. It's not the case that it's always the case that single results come from single causes. That's what he's saying, always the case. Kona, okay? And then the rest of the possibilities. Neither is it the case that always from multiple causes, you always get multiple results. So the kona, you got to be sensitive to the kona. It smells like a word he added after some rough debates. They were having a debate, and he had to add kona in the debate, and then he's like, I better keep adding these kona. Okay? So it's not the case that single results grow from single causes. It's not the case that a result is always singular and always comes from a cause which is singular. And it's not the case that a result is always multiple and always comes from causes which are multiple. And it's not the case that results which are always invariably it's not the case that results which are invariably singular come from multiple causes. And he didn't say kona there. I don't know if it's significant, but I think he just forgot it. No, maybe it's no. I think okay. Nor is it necessarily the case that multiple results come from a single cause. Okay, And this is a huge debate if you think about it. It's an old Abhidharma debate, second chapter Abhidharma. Is it even possible for a result to come from a single cause? Don't there have to be other conditions present?
Right, there's like the five
Always.
kinds of causes.
Always. And can you ever say that a cause produced only a single result? Because there's other repercussions always. There's always other repercussions. The tree falls down, squashes some ants. You know, you don't get the corn doesn't grow because there's no ant bodies there, and then people starve, and then there's a war because there's never a single result of any event, and there's never a single cause that leads to a single result. So what are the permutations? Okay.
But here he says multiple causes. It's not always the case that they produce multiple results, but it is the case that they produce multiple results.
Yeah, well, let's go see what he means. Okay, yeah, that's true. Maybe he's saying ngugyo as opposed to gyugyo. What's that mean?
Direct cause is also lineage.
Yeah, direct cause and indirect cause. So planting the tree killed the crops, but not directly. The tree had to grow, the tree had to fall down, it had to squash the bug. Who was going to plant that seed? And, I don't know. Okay, maybe. If I'm in a debate, I'll say, I was talking about ngugyus. Jutsu shendushe, ayah! That's worse than mung de tok.
Whoa.
What's mung de tok?
Doesn't go on too long.
But, I don't want to, bore you guys. Here he's just very much more direct, which is,
You can look somewhere else.
oh, you want to know how to prove this? Just look somewhere else, okay? What kind of thing is that? What kind of commentary is that? Look somewhere else. We'll have to go find one, right? We'll have to add it. He was busy that day. Shendushe. He's in a bad mood. He probably didn't get any sleep, and they made him sit at the college for 5 hours.
That's probably
Yeah, okay. When he still had other stuff to do. Yeah, okay. Very unsatisfying. I don't want to say unsatisfactory. Unsatisfying, yeah. Totally unsatisfying. Let's, what's that? At least. If it were another author, I'd say he didn't know. But they can't say that here. Go find it. Now for that,
That's a good idea.
what's a strategy? What's a database strategy? You say it again.
Go to his text and see if he talks about it.
When you don't have a relational database, because your relational database creator is very slow. What do you do?
make a folder with all.
Yeah, make a folder with.
In this case, middle.
Yeah, put all the Chonin Lamas in there. Put all the Chonin Lamas in there. And then search it for this argument and see if he explained it somewhere else. Because you should give him a chance to explain it before you go looking for other people who explain it, right? So yeah, good luck. And it's good news. When Geshe-la invented the database, he decided it would be impractical to try to make Chonin Lama's catalog numbers sequential. Because we will find more Chonin Lama texts for years, decades. So or you reserve the 3,000s for Chonin Lama, and that gets crazy. So we didn't even try.
We're still re-inputting all of them, so I'll send you one of that, yeah. Because there were so many messy ones, like for your
Like
texts.
my text.
Yeah, so,
Oh, I have pictures of the ones from last class you asked me to go look at the scans. I don't know if you wanna go back and look them up.
I think not today, because I feel like when I'm on the last class with you guys, I have to show how much progress we're making. In the middle classes, I can waste time.
Some of us have been pasting them into the
Yeah, that's right.
text so you can look at it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Take a screenshot. Yeah, that's a great idea. And in a way, you can use it for years and years. If people question how you translated it, you have the screenshot.
You just go
You
to
don't have to go
your
look it up
version.
again. Okay, let's go to we're number 5. Yay!
Mapa ten sikni.
Which is
The fifth is the proof of dependence.
Yeah. By the way, when they say ten sik,
Reasoning.
$50 for the sik we saw recently.
Section.
Damn. What two kinds?
Hmm?
Two kinds.
Of
I'm not
sections?
paying unless I get the two kinds.
Realms. Oh.
Give me a break.
Suggestion.
Geographical.
25.
Hammer.
25. Get out of here. Okay, 25, 25, 25. I'll compromise. Okay, 25, 25, 25. Shopping's not even here. Yeah, that's why I give away more money when she's not here. Yeah, so sik means a section or division. So technically, tensik would more often be translated as syllogism than proof. It can be a tensik and not be true. Okay? So just be aware. It's more like a jorwa, which means a syllogism. Okay? Okay, all right. This is just a synonym for syllogism and not for proof. Because your wife gives syllogisms all the time, but you don't prove anything. Right?
For sure.
We're not going to tell Veronica about all these wife references. Right? Okay.
$100.
For what? I'm not even married yet. I'm telling you. No. All right, go. You're the most expensive student that Lama ever had. Okay, Berna. Sunyeshin. Okay, that is Rikpe Gyalpo.
The king of reason.
Yeah, sometimes it's like Dharma Mitra says the king of poses. Sarvanga. Shava. Shisha. Wasn't it Sarvanga? No.
That's the queen of poses.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Headstand, right? Headstand
Headstand.
or shoulder stand
Headstand.
is the king of poses.
Yeah.
I can just hear him saying it. He likes to say it with some kind of panache. He says, the king of all poses. Okay. This is the king of all proofs of emptiness. This is called Rikpe Gyalpo, the king of all proofs of emptiness. Right? Sugang?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh.
What's that other word for this? Ayah. Tudor, yay! You almost have to pay me $100. Okay. Yeah, take a sprout.
It doesn't grow from its own side.
You can say that, or through any nature of its own, or through some supposed nature of its own. If you really want to kick ass, just kidding. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, because yeah, it's dependent. I don't want to say grows. Yeah, anyway, you know I don't want to use dependent origination. I'm trying to avoid origination because it definitely doesn't pass the. Yeah, go ask the waiter for an origination. And
That would be a strange usage.
yeah,
So just say
I
But
don't know
no.
what that meant either.
Just
yeah,
say,
I love dependent. Yeah, because it's dependent.
for example, it's like a reflection.
Good. Yeah, it's like a reflection. All right. Please go. Let's move it up. What's it say?
Oh, 2 minutes.
There are two versions of dependence. Yeah, good. Who said? You should wait till I offer money. There's the normal one and there's a special one. Basically, that's the usage of tumong and tumong mayimba. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I'm just gonna read it. Okay. Here's the first one. Let's try to do these two. How much time I have?
1 minute.
Okay, I'll say fast. Yeah. Okay. Here's the first one. No matter now, the kyang means no matter what existing thing you're talking about. Okay. Doesn't matter. They all have their own parts, and their parts have their own parts.
Yeah.
Okay. So no matter what you're talking about, even emptiness, weird things, they have their own parts, and not only that, their parts also gang each have their own parts. Rang rang ki chashe come along with their own parts. Yinso, how that works, I told you above when we talked about when we objected to the idea of partless atoms, or that things could not have parts. Rikbe she gula. So you gotta go remember it from there. You can understand it from the logic we used in the section where we refuted the concept of partless things. Okay. Now let's go on to the special one.
Oh, you're gonna just read it.
No, I think we had. Do we have time? She started late.
Just
Hey, I don't have to go anywhere. I have 5 hours.
we definitely have time to argue
Can
over
we
it.
do the final thing and then you guys can keep
What's the
going?
final thing?
No, let's
We
just,
like to like
can you just read it?
Oh,
and then-
I'll read it. Okay. Here's the special one. You have to, for the special one, you have to understand the system of the higher middle way school where they say things are just products of your imagination, meaning pictures coming out of your mind. Okay. In the end, all of the previous proofs flow to this one. They
Cool.
how do you say that in English? All the previous proofs,
Stem from
Flow into.
come
Lead to?
out of or into.
they all end up here. That's all.
Converge.
Yeah, they all end up here.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Cool. They all,
Converge here.
in the end, they all come home. All roads lead to Rome. All proofs lead to the king of proofs. Okay, that's what he's saying. Yay! Okay, Nick had a wrap up or something.
Yeah,
Oh, that involves where you pay me back 3% of what I spend or something.
something like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just kidding. I'm not being ungrateful. It'll definitely buy some pancake batter. Pergi joshime totam mirabling shin yente gempadi sange shindu mingte uwagi rokun nanda shinla chupasho idam guru radna mandala kanyatayami di kewokun Sanam yeshe tozoshin, sanam yeshe lechume, tabakuni tobasho.
Yeah.
By the way, before I forget, Anatol's going to teach a yoga class after this class for anyone who's still around.
Right on.
Okay.
You guys want to use the studio?
I think we just like to do it here and get it over with.
Awesome.
It's like taking medicine.
Very good, very good. So, a couple of thank yous. Thank you guys. 3 years we've been doing this.
Wow. Woo-hoo.
It's amazing. It's like a 3-year retreat from not doing things. A retreat from not doing stuff. It's been amazing. And, Upa and I were just ruminating on the fact that we might actually be learning something. And we can look at texts and read them sometimes, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's a big
And
breakthrough.
it seems like it's happening, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
And just so a couple of quick thank yous to people who helped to make this possible. Very quietly, Ben is working really hard to and switching us back and forth between, and he's just
Yeah.
quiet and like stays here really late and does lots of work.
Always smiling.
So I'm really
Hey.
happy. So thanks for coming and thanks for being here. And please keep coming and keep coming. And Venerable Upal and Christina and Vimala and Christina are helping a lot to just make sure everything's arranged and organized. And thank you guys.
Yay. Thanks for the drinks. That's the only lady I let buy me drinks for free.
Yeah, that's I think probably the most important thing of the term is there have to be a lot of drinks.
Yeah, there's like
This is
5.
almost enough, yeah. And then, speaking of drinks, a lot of you guys don't know this, but Tim has been very silently making our smoothies in the morning, or preparing them and bringing them to us. So as we learned in Dr. Wu's text, he's going to
And Gina,
quickly
where's Gina?
quickly achieve nirvana. And Gina, yeah,
Yeah, that's
awesome.
right.
But that keep that on the video. Thank you. And Tim quietly does a lot of work, like keeps this whole building running to
Well,
make
there's
this all
something
happen.
more important
Yeah.
he does.
And well, I'm getting there. I'm
Okay,
getting
okay,
there.
okay, okay.
And well, let's just get right to it. Most importantly, he's taken on the massive project amidst his many other jobs of managing Dr. Wu's hotels and making sure that those are filtering money. They're making sure they're profitable because it's the profit of those hotels which pay us salaries for doing what we do, which is the greatest thing in the world. So thank you for doing that, Tim. You're amazing. And as Dr. Wu said to you in a text that I oversaw, you will be rich soon. I can't make any promises, but I did see him text you.
He'll have to answer more questions.
So, and then one last thank you, the man who makes it all
No,
possible.
there's another thank you.
Oh,
Dr. Wu can't do what he does for us without his support team.
oh yeah, for sure.
And you should know he doesn't sleep much, and he just expects them to stay up. They're lucky if they get a few hours of sleep. He sleeps in and doesn't come here, and they have to get up and come, so they don't get any sleep. And sometimes he will change his plans, and so you have to be a very flexible person who doesn't like to sleep. And somehow he found two of those, and we'd like to thank Tang Tang and you. And we know it's really hard, and so we really appreciate it because we know how hard we know that you're doing a lot of hard things that we don't even see.
There's another person, which is Nick, who organizes this program and advocates for us high and low to take care of us and take care of our program to make sure that we have a place to be, that we're comfortable together, that we're harmonious together as much as he can manage. We're a real pain in the butt for him a meaningful amount of the time, and he takes it on the chin and he doesn't make a fuss about it, and it's really beautiful.
And last but not least, the man who makes it all possible, the man who translates 17,000 books simultaneously, and does it better than anybody else in the world could possibly do it. The one, the only, Geshe Michael Roach. Thank you. Thank you, Mama. Please keep teaching us. Please stay. I don't take it. I know we joke around a lot in class, and I'm being silly right now, but we all know, I think, or we wouldn't be here, that this is totally historic. This is the same scope as all the crazy historic stuff that's mentioned in the scriptures. We know that it's all possible because of you. Thank you so much.
And I really love you guys.
We love
And
you
this
too.
is the happiest part of my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I just give it to Word now?
Probably a good idea.
Get some Amsterdam.
Just run a tab with it.
I don't know if it'll cover it.
Expensive point.
Thank you.
Okay, the
Thank
good
you
news
for
is
an awesome
you
tour.
get to do
Please
it.
keep teaching. Please.
No, and I'm very excited that you guys. I went home. I told V. They finally got it. This term, they're actually translating. This is the first term you're translating, and I'm really happy.
Thank you.
But I'm not happy about yoga.
If you did order lunch, it's going to be at the cafe.
Yoga
right
here.
Here.
Yeah.
And if you
Yes,
would
please.
like to make a donation today,
If there's not room, I can
lunch
give up
you
my
ordered, we're going to make payments over there.
For
Yes.
smoothies.
And then for smoothies, we've received generous donations. We received about $900. We're about $500 short on that, so if anyone would like to
contribute to the smoothies that we got every morning. That the costs mainly go for the cost of the supplies and some of the labor we hired for that, and then the additional
Are we?
funds raised will be going to the storage facility as well.
So we haven't even
Yes.
started making the donation to the storage facility.
So thank you all very much. Yeah, and food is ready, by the way.
But don't eat if you're gonna do yoga.
Yeah. And if you have a moment, thank Michael. He donated his time. I don't know
Really?
if you knew that. Like he wasn't going to, and then I mean he's gonna get a little bonus later at the end of the year for it. But you know he's donating all of his time, so we brought labor costs way down,
Pass
so
it
we can
down
make
to
a
Nick.
larger donation. So if you have a moment,
Let's go.
Tim.
I can't. Oh, I see what you're doing.
What time is yoga?
Let's do it in 20 minutes.
Luckily, I didn't bring my clothes.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck, good luck. I have to pay something. I have to pay.
Thank you. When you get into the call, come in.
Thank you. You need time.
Really fun term.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting more and more fun.